Welcome everyone, and thanks for coming tonight for the Career Preparation Job Search and Salary Negotiation Workshop. Um, I want to let you all know that the session is being recorded. My name is Sharice Muse, and I'm a Student Advancement Specialist here at the Mandel School. We'll do a quick introduction of our Student Services team, and at this time, I'll turn it over to Kelly Smith.
Awesome. My name is Kelly Schmidt. I am the other Student Advancement Specialist. I'm excited to hear this great workshop today, and then I will turn over to Dean McFarland.
Thanks, Kelly. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kim McFarland, and I serve as the Assistant Dean of Student Services and Career Planning at the Mandel School. And it's wonderful to be with you tonight, and we really appreciate everybody taking time to invest in your professional development. And a special thank you to the Career Center for joining us to collaborate. I'll turn it back over to Sharice. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean McFarland. At this time, we'll do a quick overview of tonight's section. So shortly we'll have an icebreaker. Then after the icebreaker, we'll turn it over to our speaker for the presentation. After the presentation, we'll open it up for questions. Please know we have included your questions that you submitted when you register so they can be addressed. Also, for some reason, if your questions are not answered today, please feel free to email our student services team, and we'll share our alias email at the end of the session. So at this time, we'll do a quick icebreaker. So based on the memes that you see on the screen, if you can share kind of how you're feeling today with the number in the chat. So if you could put those numbers in the chat for us. For me, I think it's a number 3, just kind of searching for some warm weather, ready. My family, we like to grill and be outside, so we're ready for some warmer weather. So we're just kind of waiting and looking out the window. So I would say a 3 for me. If anyone else wants to share. All righty, let's see what we have here. So it looks like we have some 7, 9, a few 6s, 6, 6, 1. All righty. Well, thank you on number 8 there. Thanks everyone for sharing. A few people with 6. Yeah, maybe time of the semester it is. I don't know. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. At this time, we'll turn it over to Aisha Goldziran, which is the Assistant Director of Student Experience and Pre-Law Advisor at the Career Center.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction, Sharice. I picked the panda because it looks so playful. It's so cute. Thanks for the icebreaker. Is it okay if I share my screen right now? Let me see if I can do it here. I will just, quickly ask everyone if it's possible, but Kelly or Sharice, it would be wonderful if I can maybe get a participant list from you just in case if my QR code here doesn't work. Okay, thank you so much. So very briefly, my name is Aisha Goldziran. As Sharice explained, I work at the Career Center. I oversee public service career interest areas. So most of the time, Mandel School students who are going through their Master of Nonprofit and Master of Social Work, if they need additional conversation about their career development, they tend to come and find me. And also my colleague here, Kayleen Dolan. Kayleen and I, we together oversee the public service career interest area. And again, if you are interested in any other industry, maybe it is technology, maybe it is business, we have career consultants for each career interest area. But historically, MNO and MSW falls wonderfully under public service career interest area. So you can always schedule an appointment with me or Kayleen. Kayleen, do you want to say a couple of things while I'm dumping some resources in the chat?
Sure, yeah. So it's nice to be here and meet all of you. As Aisha said, I'm Kayleen Dolan. I'm new to our team. I started here in January. In addition to assisting with the public service career interest area, I also promote and support our experiential learning opportunities on campus. So I'm really excited to be here with you all and to help support you as you pursue your careers in public service.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, I don't know if I am able to share my screen. Can everybody share my screen? I see my screen, share my screen, my slideshow. Perfect. Okay. I dumped a couple of resources in the chat. Let me quickly introduce you to those links. The first link is we are doing a wonderful event this coming Friday in the afternoon called Breaking into Nonprofits. We're going to have 4 case alum sharing their stories of finding their careers within the nonprofit sector. So feel free to drop by if you're available. I think it's always powerful to listen to some alumni stories. And the other resources are, today we're going to be talking about job search strategies and salary negotiation, but we provide a lot of resources for you. We do resume reviews, so I dropped that link in the chat. You can always go to our career labs. They're undergraduate students that we train, look at your resumes. You can always schedule an appointment with us, but we like to, we want you to go to those labs and get some basic information of what are the must areas that you need to be taking into consideration when putting together your resume. Then we can sit down and talk about your special circumstances and job searching and networking, etc. We also do mock interviews at the Career Center, so you can schedule a mock interview with us if you secured a job interview. Also, we can sit down and talk about, you know, if you have a job offer, how to negotiate your salary and etc. So the last piece, the last link that I shared with you is for our Career Development Hub. We have a self-enroll Canvas course. I like to call it like a handbook of all the information that is available for you that is generated by the Career Center. So you can find some information about, today we're going to be talking about job search strategies and networking being one of them. Maybe you can learn in detail how to network with folks using LinkedIn Alumni, for instance, or Alumni Career Network. There are some sample emails that you can use as you're reaching out to folks for networking purposes. So some helpful links for you. Let me quickly share with you what I have here for you. So I want to start with a quick question as well, a little icebreaker, and please drop these in the chat if you, if you do not want to unmute yourself, feel free to unmute too and shout out, I know job search is a full-time job. So what is your strategy of approaching to this process? How do you search for internships or jobs? I'm going to try to, Indeed is a good resource. Exactly. Anything else that come to your mind? Indeed is a good one. We have a lot of resources for you under public service. Website that we have within Career Center. We also have My Career resources. Kayleen, can I put you on the spot to pull those resources for the chat? Thank you so much. We have a public service website that is full of some job boards that are very niche and unique to students who are interested in public service. LinkedIn is another good one. Job listings for employers. I am most interested in exactly knowing your employers is a good strategy. Perfect. Thank you all. So I'm just going to turn off my video because I feel like I'm watching myself, and I'm going to put everyone in the bottom end and just dump all my information at you. Feel free to add your questions in the chat, please. I will get back to them once I'm done with my presentation. Okay. So we know that one of the biggest things that I really want you to take away from this meeting tonight is most of the jobs that we use in those job boards, Indeed, LinkedIn, your employer's job board is, of course, a different source, but I want you to know that the studies show that at least 70–80% of jobs are never posted online. Instead, they're filled through informal networks, through their friends, acquaintances, or referrals. But most of us spend a lot of time by scrolling through job boards or going to those big platforms like Indeed or LinkedIn, which is wonderful, but it doesn't give you the full picture of the job market that is out there for you. Okay. Of course, get your resume ready, apply, and hope for interview. But you need to do a little bit more than that in order to secure those interviews. I would like to propose this effective technique to you to really follow these steps. One is really gathering data, understanding the job market that is available in front of you, learn about where to look for those jobs, create the items you need to show off your experience and skills like your resume and cover letter, but also definitely communicate and talk to people about your own values, your interests, your goals and ideas. And when I say talk to people, I'm not just talking about talking to people who are experts in the field, but I'm also talking about telling your neighbors about your plans, right? Telling people around you who know you, who may be working with you, that what your future plans are, and then try to get out there and interact with people. This is where I'm talking about doing some networking, reaching out to folks who are experts in the fields or who you are interested in their careers, who are in front of you and you're really interested in their careers. So make sure to follow these steps. And in order to be able to start this technique, not just sitting down and putting together application materials, but also networking piece, is that you need to answer these 3 questions. One is, do you know yourself? I know that sounds a bit cliche, but it's very critical, especially in nonprofit and social work sectors. You're going to be working on projects or causes that you care deeply about. If you don't understand what you're passionate about or what your core values are, you might end up in a role that is really not very fulfilling for you, even if the organization seems like a good fit on paper. So maybe asking yourself, what are you truly passionate about? And really writing those things down and using that language as you are reaching out to folks. Is it mental health advocacy? Is it community outreach, environmental justice? So reflecting on these questions will not only help you understand what drives you, but will also guide you in selecting those organizations whose values align with your values. So I want to go deep dive into these questions one by one. The other point is very important, is really understanding your employers, knowing the industry, what its strengths are, what its weaknesses are, what are the job prospects. And then we're going to deep dive into some of the job search strategies that are out there that I personally like. I always advise, especially my students who are in Master of Social Work and Master of Nonprofit. So let's start with knowing yourself. And I want to throw some questions at you to really think about these things. What are your career goals? Is it really to get overwhelmed by you can really get overwhelmed by the number of opportunities out there, but if you are not clear about what you want, you can just apply to jobs that are not going to give you any satisfaction. So think about this. What do you want to do in next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? This is not an interview question that I'm referring to, okay? I just want you to sit down and be honest with yourself and write these things down. Think about these things. Is there a specific population you want to serve? Do you want to work with particular type of nonprofit? Maybe it's healthcare. I don't know. Maybe it's housing advocacy. So write these things down. Think about it. Think about your strengths and weaknesses. Knowing what you're good at will help you communicate your value to potential employers. Social work or nonprofit roles often require really good communication skills. You should be really good at empathy, right? Ability to work under pressure. For example, if you've been involved in a project where you were managing volunteers or helping clients, that's a strength that you should highlight. At the same time, if you know you're still working on time management or maybe handling stress, just be honest about it. Actively try to improve those areas. The last question is, can you explain what you like best about your industry or major? What is it about that initially drove you into this master's program? What excites you about working in nonprofits or social work sectors? Maybe, again, you're passionate about advocacy or, helping communities or being part of a larger social movement. Whatever that is, make sure you clarify that as you are networking with folks as you are searching for those jobs, because those are also going to serve as keywords as you're looking for opportunities. The second point is knowing your employers and the industry. So take the time to research organizations, get to their missions and their challenges, try to understand the organizational culture. You know, like most of the nonprofits and social work organizations are often mission driven. So understand what they stand for. What are their plans? What are their future aspirations? You know, definitely use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good way of doing some research about the organization. Follow their websites, read their annual reports, and you know, maybe meet with some case alumni who work in those organizations to really get the insider view about that organization. Can you name at least 5 sources of information that could help you discover potential employers other than LinkedIn? I mean, like maybe Idealist is a good place for you to look. Maybe some, you know, professional associations. I'm sure there is a National Association of Social Workers, or, you know, we have a very amazing organizations in town like Engage Cleveland, Global Cleveland, to really understand what those employers are about. Okay. And then make sure you write down, you know, why these employers should hire you. How much you know about the employers, and how you can combine your own passion, remember, your own discovery, your own self-awareness, and how these employers and these industries, their goals, their missions align with that, right? You need to have these questions answered before even start doing any job search, whatever that might be, right? Just looking at the job boards or following LinkedIn and Indeed, and also the additional resources that I'm going to share with you. So again, I already shared these things with you, but we can always start together one-on-one. You can come and meet with me or Kayleen. You can have your resume reviewed. You can, you know, we can show you how to reach out to folks, maybe using LinkedIn Alumni and Alumni Career Network. You can also practice these sessions with us as well. So maybe you have some emails that you want to send to folks that you already identified. How are you going to write those emails? We can sit down and do these things together with you. We have a lot of resources on our website, so please benefit from those. So here is what I am recommending you. So instead of just resume blasting, or depending on the job boards that we all know are very effective, but we need to target that hidden job market. And how are we going to do that? There might be multiple ways of doing this. I bolded the ones that I want to highlight: informational interviews, volunteering, and really the nitty-gritty of networking tonight. But I also want to highlight there are other ways you can do this by being creative. And I know this might not be for everyone, but being creative and personalizing your job search approach could be really interesting if this stands out to you. So while it's tempting, again, to send your cover letter or your resume as you see those jobs available for you, what I'm recommending is also being creative by maybe writing letters. I know it might sound very old school, but you can write a handwritten letter about, you know, why you see, even though there's no job available for you in that organization, why you are interested in being part of that organization. And I think it's a very unique way of finding your way within nonprofits. The other thing could be, again, being creative. There's really no limit. These are just my ideas that I am proposing to you. Maybe following the organizations that you're interested in being part of on LinkedIn or maybe Instagram to really start a conversation with them. Like, how many organizations you follow on LinkedIn? How many of them post on a daily basis? And how many of those posts include your opinions about the issue underneath? So being very active and visible for those organizations could be a very creative way of approaching job search and networking as well. The other unbolded one here is targeting your search. Rather than casting a wide net and applying to every job under the sun, maybe focus your search on organizations that you can truly align together with, maybe share the same values, maybe you really enjoy their mission. Really looking at these nonprofits and agencies, what they do, what kind of projects that they have, and which areas within that you can work with. This is, again, I'm not asking you to find jobs, but I'm asking you to find your own career within these organizations, even though jobs are not being posted. You just need to approach job search, not in your, last month or 2 months, right? That is how nonprofit jobs are being found. If you apply a job, you will probably be hired in a month. So it's not like those engineer jobs you need to apply a semester before or almost a year before in order to secure. But what I'm proposing is start this process of doing research and finding your target employers really a long time before you're ready to apply the jobs that are available for you. And the last one is really, offering solutions. Instead of just sending your resume or waiting for a response, what kind of challenges that this organization have? Can you solve their problems? In nonprofit sector, organizations are really looking for individuals who can make a difference, whether it's in the form of, program management, community outreach, fundraising. So do your research about organizations' challenges and maybe tailor your outreach by offering a solution to that challenge for that organization. So these require a lot of research, but these are unique ways of approaching job searching and really targeting that hidden job market. I want to deep dive a little bit into informational interviews, my favorite job searching strategy. I always start when I meet with students one-on-one by asking them, have you done any informational interviews? And they're like, what is informational interview? Informational interviewing is really mingling with people that you admire, right? So you are the one who is in the position of seeking a job, interviewing experts or people that you admire their careers. Ask them some questions. Basically, I call this giving experts 10-15 minutes of their time to brag about their lives and their careers and what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And the purpose of it is you learn something out of that. You pick up their brain. You ask them questions to get some suggestions of how to approach job search. And I always start by telling my students that it is a wonderful way of using LinkedIn alumni. So when you go to CASE's website, you can click on a button called alumni, and you can use any keyword that you're interested in. Maybe advocacy is what you're interested in. Maybe fundraising is what you're interested in, project management in a nonprofit, or maybe you have some nonprofits in mind in town that you're interested in working at. Just get out there and find those alumni who are actively working in those areas and reach out to them on LinkedIn saying, hey, do you have 10-15 minutes of your time? I really want to learn more about your career journey. It's very impressive. I also am a Master of Nonprofits student, if that's the common denominator. So the whole idea is you interviewing them. And a lot of my students, when I give this recommendation to them, go out there and do informational interviews, they tell me that that is very intimidating. It could be very intimidating, but I want you to think it this way. They are not interviewing you. You don't need to have your resume. This is not you trying to impress them. This is really you trying to get advice from them. It's a wonderful way of expanding your network even before you start your career. So these meetings, ideally, if you can, be done in person, but you can definitely do these meetings via Zoom. It's very convenient. Not everybody might have like 15-20 minutes of their time during the day to go out there physically and meet with you. But if they do, that's wonderful. Make sure if If you're having coffee together, buy that coffee for them because they're going to be giving you tons of advice. Make sure you dress professionally, regardless whether this is in person or via Zoom. Make sure to write a bunch of questions to ask that person, right? Maybe you're interested in their company. Maybe you're interested in the previous company that they worked at. Make sure that this is a very short conversation, but you have at least 5-6 questions because, you know, as much as you're an introvert and this feels uncomfortable, it might feel very uncomfortable for the other person too. They really want to help, but they might not know how to answer your questions. So write down 5-6 questions. You know, how did you break into nonprofits? How did you approach job search? It seems like you were a case student too. Which student organizations that you were active at? I don't know, whatever comes to your mind, whatever you want to learn more from this person. Be curious, be engaged. You can have your resume ready, but don't put it on the table immediately. One question that I always recommend, it's an interviewing technique actually, that you should write down. This should be your last question. It was a lovely conversation. I learned so much from you. Can you recommend maybe 1 or 2 people you think that I should talk with? So you are now snowballing. You start with Case alumni, and then you are growing out of Case alumni network, and you are now being part of the network of that person as well, right? So you start with Case alumni, and then you expand to maybe, you know, Cleveland nonprofit and environment, or whatever city or state that you're interested in living. Make sure you send a thank you note after that. I'm telling you, and you know, once you start doing this, you'll realize you're going to send 5 LinkedIn messages to Case alumni. Only 1 would reply back. Great. The others are busy. Maybe they don't check their LinkedIns all the time. You start with 1 person, and you'll see through this snowballing, you're going to reach out to so many people. I and Kayleen also here, we support students on a day-to-day basis, and I can make a claim that people find their jobs through this more so than applying jobs directly. I had 1 student, I'm also teaching some courses within the political science department, and one of the courses that I teach is called Human Rights. And I always bring nonprofit leaders from town to come and give talks about human rights issues. One semester, I had a leader from Collaborative to End Human Trafficking. That is a nonprofit organization that does a lot of research and prevention of human trafficking in town. And they never ever hire interns. But one of my students said, oh my goodness, this is an amazing work. I really want to be part of this nonprofit however I can. And she scheduled an informational interview with this person who came to our class. And then they had a long conversation. And a month later, this person who works at the Collaborative to End Human Trafficking reach out to the students saying, you know what, we just received the grant. We need someone to help us do some research. Do you want to be part of, do you want to work for us over the summer part-time? And she was delighted to do that. So this is what I'm talking about by hidden job market. There was no job like this before, but this student really had a wonderful conversation with this nonprofit leader and secured herself without knowingly an opportunity for summer. So please make sure to engage in informational conversations. The other one is volunteering. And I know volunteering could be very problematic because you're just spending a lot of your time. Of that precious time could be used by really sitting in front of job boards and, you know, submitting your resume and writing a cover letter for that job. But volunteering, of course, it has its positives, right? It's giving back to the community, but it's also an excellent way to get your foot in the door. Many nonprofits and social service agencies prefer hiring people that they already know. Therefore, volunteering is the perfect way to make this connection. So you can gain hands-on experience, get to know organizations' culture, build relationships with folks who are in the positions of decision making in those organizations. Even if a position isn't advertised, your efforts could lead to an opportunity. And I have a quick story about this. I found most of my higher education opportunities thanks to a very simple volunteering that I was doing at the Cleveland Mediation Center. So I moved out of the city of Cleveland, and when I came back, I did not have a job. I had my own responsibilities of taking care of my children, and I was teaching a course still in the organization that I used to work via Zoom. And I decided that I want to spend some of my time volunteering at the Cleveland Mediation Center because I am a conflict resolution expert and I wanted to provide some mediation services to folks who come to that center. And one day, the director of the Cleveland Mediation Center got a call from John Carroll University, and they said, a couple of years ago, you guys came over to our campus and delivered a skills training. Is there anyone who can do that in your organization? And I was literally sitting in the same room with the director, and the director looked at me and said, yes, we have someone who can provide you skills training. And they sent me to John Carroll University to deliver a skills training. And next week I was hired by their justice, I think it's called Peace, Justice, and Human Rights program. So I was there for 4 years as a faculty member as a result of my volunteering and the connections that I made thanks to that. So please do not underestimate the value of volunteering as well. So lastly, I like this, new way of approaching to networking. Back in the day when people would tell me go network, I would say, I need to go and know people, right? But I don't need to take a lot of effort into getting to know people. But now you really need to do that. It is not who you know, but who you get to know. So you need to put an effort on this process because we know, thanks to US Labor Bureau, 80% of jobs come via networking. So I don't want you to just stop by volunteering and engaging in informational interviews, but really be out there attending, our university career fairs maybe, which happened last Friday. There are a lot of nonprofits doing a lot of events in town or probably in the places that you are at, that there are networking events happening. Attend to those networking events. Meet with people who are the experts in the fields that you are interested in. And have your elevator pitch ready to present yourself to those folks. So in addition to your resume and your cover letter, I really want you to sit down and have a good elevator pitch. Who are you? What are you studying? What are you interested in doing in life? What kinds of opportunities that you're looking for? So here is a list of things that you can do. But again, based on your unique needs, Kayleen and I, we can sit down with you and talk about, what kind of organizations that are out there for you in your cities and states that you can be part of. So we can definitely have those conversations with you. But always be ready for networking. Like I said, please talk to your neighbors too. You would never know that how much they also know about the fields that you're interested in. Make sure you share with everyone what you're interested in career-wise. Okay, so here are some resources, and I know Kayleen is putting those on the chat, but we have wonderful sections for you. You can find some job boards, some niche job boards in our public service website. Okay, so really briefly, I want to talk about negotiation, but I want to start our negotiation conversation with a little bit of a challenge. So first of all, of course, we're jumping from job search into salary negotiation. Again, we can always support you in your interview processes as well. Both Kayleen and I, we do mock interviews. We also have a wonderful platform called Big Interview. You can find it under My Career Resources. You can practice based on your industry using AI to get yourself ready for your interviews. It's an amazing tool. Please benefit from that. As a case student, you have a free access to this resource. Okay, so here is my negotiation challenge for you, and this is a real story. So in 1912, Roosevelt was on a last-minute campaign tour distributing a pamphlet with a presidential portrait on the cover and a speech inside. And this is the portrait over here. And the campaign team made 3 million copies of this pamphlet. And after they printed everything, they realized that there is a little something on the right-hand side. It's not very visible in this picture, but you can see on the right-hand side on the bottom of the picture, it says Moffett Studios. So campaign workers noticed that it is copyrighted by Moffett Studios, basically this picture, and they realized that they printed everything without getting the permission from Moffett Studios. So imagine the numbers are translated to today's world. Each picture, imagine, cost the campaign $1. Now they have $3 million problem in their hands. And they really have no budget to do anything else with it, right? So they cannot ask the permission of the Moffett Studios. They cannot reprint. They cannot use another picture. So, of course, campaign workers panicked and they started thinking, are we not going to use this pamphlet? If we go ahead and use this, is it going to be a scandal? How are we going to deal with this? And the only thing that the campaign knows is Moffett Studios owner, Mr. Moffett, is an old man and he is in need of money. And then the campaign workers went to G. Perkins, who is actually one of the founding fathers of J.P. Morgan, who was the first advisor to J.P. Morgan. They explained the problem to Mr. Perkins. And what I'm asking you is, can you guess what he did? And if you can't guess, can you tell me what you would do in this situation? Let me look at my chat real quick. You can really unmute and talk with me if you feel comfortable. Any guesses? I promise I'm going to connect this to salary negotiations. This is not just a little icebreaker. Anyone? I think I would cry, maybe. Yes. It's a huge problem. It's a huge money problem, too. Charge for the pamphlets, advertise for Moffett. Very good ideas. Charging for the pamphlets, you mean charging the folks that you distribute it to? If that's the case, that could be problematic because you're running for presidency. Or advertise for Moffett, that would be a good thing, but you need to, not disclose that information to Mr. Moffett, because if he knows that you printed all that, that many pamphlets, that would be problematic, right? Let me share what Mr. Perkins did. He did some research and he learned about Mr. Moffett's interests. Okay, that is bolded for a reason. Knowing whoever you're negotiating, knowing their interests, getting as much information as possible about the other person, right? In your case here, your employer, right, who offered you that job is going to be the currency in the negotiation, more so than the money, more so than the salary. So Mr. Perkins immediately sent a telegraph to Mr. Moffett saying, we're planning to distribute millions of pamphlets with Roosevelt's picture on the cover. It'll be great publicity for the studio whose photograph we use. How much will you pay us to use yours? Please respond immediately. Okay. ethics is problematic here, but let's not talk about that because this is, years and years ago. But here is what happened. Moffitt replied, "We have never done this before, but under the circumstances, we'd be pleased to offer you $250. So Perkins passed the money to Moffitt's interest. It was publicity. So Perkins empathized with Mr. Moffitt. He made $250 out of this, but it wasn't about the money. It was about, really responding to the real interest of Mr. Moffitt, which was publicity. So effective negotiation often involves seeing the world from the other party's perspective. You need to ask, what does the other party truly value and how can align my goal with theirs so that you can reach out to win-win outcomes? So here's how I connect this negotiation challenge to salary negotiations. One is, as I shared with you, there are unexpected costs and unforeseen issues. So information in negotiations is your currency. So you got to get all the information possible. Just as the campaign team discovered unplanned cost of the Moffitt studio photos, salary negotiations can reveal unexpected factors. Maybe you should consider about the benefits, bonuses, additional compensation that were not initially considered, only thought about money. Because when we are in salary negotiations, the name is salary, right? But salary is more than just money. So can you expand the pie? The second point is balancing competing priorities. Perkins had to balance the campaign's limited budget with Moffitt's financial needs, similar to how employers must balance their compensation budget with an employee's salary expectations during negotiations. So be aware of that. Therefore, think about maybe there's more to this negotiation than money. Can you add more? Can you expand the pie? Creative problem solving and compromise. So the campaign team had to find a solution with Moffitt Studios to avoid a scandal or financial strain, much like how salary negotiations often involve finding a compromise that satisfies both employers' budget and your compensation expectations. So again, can you expand the pie? So I'm going to explain this concept to you. So before I talk about some of the negotiation strategies, I want you to ask these questions to find those additional interests of yours, not just money. I'm talking about other additional interests that might be very important to you, okay? Money is always important, right? But there could be other things that bring satisfaction and fulfillment at workplace. So here are 7 points that I want you to consider. And I want you to consider these factors right after your interview, right after you get your job offer, before you start negotiating, before you're telling them, oh, this is an amazing offer. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you. Okay. So this is your preparation. Ask yourself the job content. Is this a job that you applied and you got an offer from, and you can align your values, interests, and personalities and skills? Your future career plans align with this job that is in front of you. How much you know about this company, right? I mean, I am the one who's recommending you to go out there and align your values with the organization that you're interested in working with. But sometimes, let's be honest, we apply to jobs that we find immediately on those job boards too. So make sure, is this a job that you on purpose want to work in this organization because you see that alignment, or is this was just a job that you found because you were desperately looking? 2, who's your supervisor? Can you work and get along with this person? You already met that person during the interview. So think about your own perceptions of working together with this person. Do you think that this person feels secure in where they are? Do you think that they're a micromanager based on the questions that they ask? So think about your own judgments of who your supervisor is going to be. Think about salary and benefits, okay? So is this salary at market level? Are there any pay increases? Are there any promotions, sign-in bonuses? Any professional development opportunities available for you? You've seen and met with your team members during the interview. Think about your work culture, coworkers. Can you align yourself with them? And think about the typical work week. Sometimes some organizations have work from home. Do the typical work week fits with your own commitments, your own family commitments, or other activities that you're committed to? Can you work from home? What is the commute like? What is the parking like if it's going to be Case Western Reserve University in this situation, your employer, right? Organizational flexibility. Is there any work-life balance? And you can get this information, and I think this is a good list for you to keep in mind as you're preparing in your job interview, what kind of questions that you should ask to them during your job interviews. And I promise this is my last slide. So here are some strategies for you to be ready for these negotiation processes. Again, a lot of the times I support students for salary negotiations, and they come to me and they say they already accepted the job, but they still want to negotiate. You cannot accept a job and then negotiate. Don't tell the employer that you agree with them on the terms of the job proposal that they sent you. So you have to be ready before accepting the opportunity to have these conversations, okay? So the first thing is, please be confident and curious. It is normal to have salary negotiations. It is expected to have salary negotiations. If this is your first job, don't feel shy. It is very normal. You should engage in a salary negotiation, but you have to be ready to ask as many questions as possible, be very curious about what they have to offer, and to really expand the pie by bringing some other negotiable elements, right? So first of all, prepare yourself, know the market salaries, make sure that you present your value goals, what you're bringing to the table, but also understand employers' position and their needs, like how Mr. Perkins tried to understand Mr. Moffat's interests. You can get to employers' interest by asking meaningful questions, right? How long they have been looking for someone, what kind of resources they have to pay for this new hire. Who was the previous person? Why did they leave the job, right? So you can ask these meaningful questions during the interview, but also during your informational conversations with folks, maybe Case alumni or people in your network who have been in that organization. State your expectations clearly and always respect what the offer is on the table, okay? You need to show that you understand where they're coming from, but what they're offering salary-wise might be below the market price. So you ask a meaningful question why that's the case. Make sure you listen to their responses and stay open to counter offers. So please think beyond the salary, expand the pie by bringing other elements other than money. Bring up your BATNA. BATNA is an interesting concept. I don't know if anyone heard about this, but it's an acronym for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. So have you ever considered, and I have a quick video about this I'll share with everyone so you can watch and make sense of this a little bit more, but do you have any other job offers? Sometimes students come to me and they are under pressure to accept a job offer, but they're also being interviewed by other organizations. Can you buy yourself some time in the salary negotiation to really get other offers on the table? And those other offers, your backup plans, can be your BATNAs. So use your BATNA strategically. Say that I align myself with this organization. I really want to work here, but there's another organization that I am in the process of, negotiating and understanding the terms of their offer. I really want to work with you. Is it possible to meet in the middle? Maybe ask for not just money, but also ask for, can I have more, days that I can, negotiate on? Can I have additional what is the word that I'm looking for? Additional days that I can have off, right? Vacation days. Oh, I can't even think about the word vacation. Sorry. So ask good questions and use objective criteria, the market price. It's always a good thing. So you need to understand what is the market price out there. Please respond calmly as you're handling objections, rejections, and pushbacks. Don't take anything personally. This is a business negotiation, and this is not always about you. Okay, this is about what they can offer to you and what they cannot offer. So work around that. Don't take things personally and try to build good relationships, even though you're going to reject that job offer. You never know in the future what kind of opportunities that organization might have. And a little note on post-negotiation etiquette is confirm offer details in writing. Please do not accept anything if it's not in writing. You need to send your acceptance in writing, and they need to send their offer in writing after you finish your negotiation. Make sure you evaluate the full offer, and again, make sure that it aligns with your career goals and your personal needs. And I have a quick checklist here for you if you want to borrow it or add more to it. It's always good to have a good Excel sheets for informational conversations and also for salary negotiations. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna turn on my video and tell me if you have any questions for me.
Thank you so much. This was so great. And yeah, if folks want to come off mute or put questions in the chat, feel free. I think a lot of the questions that were submitted from registration for the workshop kind of got answered. The one that maybe you could touch on, Aisha, that didn't get maybe touched on as much, but folks are thinking about, you know, if it's their first year and going into summer, and any like advice on summer jobs and internships, specifically if like, you know, some of the social work students are thinking about wanting some social work, but short term, any advice on that?
Sure. I have a couple of advice for that. And Kayleen, please jump in because Kayleen does a lot of experiential education pieces in our office too. But again, I would start immediately to do those informational conversations with the organizations that are out there. In nonprofit and social work, those job opportunities open up and really close in a month period, right? So it's not a long application process most of the times. So you can definitely start your informational conversations right now in March, and you will definitely find something by the end of next or the coming month if you engage in those networking conversations. We have a public service newsletter I try to pull together along with Kayleen and our public service intern as many opportunities as possible, and we post those opportunities on our bi-weekly newsletter. And also we have an experiential education database on our website. And Kayleen, am I missing anything? I'll try to pull those resources and put them in the chat while you're sharing, and if I'm missing anything.
I think you got it all. I did link in the chat the list of job boards from our public service career interest area page. There's a lot of specific job boards, as Aisha mentioned, for public service. I would definitely recommend surfing through those as well. But yeah, exploring the hidden job market like we just talked about, getting yourself in front of informational interviews now. I'll just emphasize that is so important.
I am just
Thanks.
putting
and
like
we can,
subscribe
go
link
ahead.
that you can pick your career interest area on Handshake, and you'll automatically sign up for our newsletters.
Awesome. I was going to say we can share out to those. We're recording this, but we'll share out resources as well in the email with the recording. So either people in person or attending live right now, or who registered and view the recording. So yeah.
And again, we can meet with you individually based on your own like needs and expectations when it comes to summer internship opportunities or part-time work opportunities. We can search together. We can identify some folks for you to talk to and network with as well.
I think for our social work students too, things that have come up as far as like if students have their LSW, that's another benefit to look for when you're searching for jobs or looking at your salary. Like, is that offered if you want to get your independent license or clinical license past the initial license? So something to think about for wanted to plug that too. Any other questions though, feel free to come off mute or put them in the chat. I know we have a couple minutes left, but we can, if you think of any later, you can always email Mandel Student Services too. I'll put that in the chat along with the other links being popped in, but.
And
go ahead.
Kayleen, also there is like, can you help me remember this? Summer on the Cuyahoga could be a good alternative for Mandel students as well. There is going to be an info session regarding that.
Yes, so the Summer on the Cuyahoga program, it's for students, rising sophomores through recent graduates. So if you're graduating from your undergraduate degree this year, those are also options. Summer on the Cuyahoga has internships with a variety of nonprofits and a variety of different focus areas. So I think it's worth looking into those, particularly for our undergraduate students.
Yeah, but I think, the master's students could apply because you already have your undergraduate degrees. Is that accurate to say? Like, I don't know if we give any, if we get any application for like graduate students to that program.
So it's an immersive program that requires like living on campus and being a part of a cohort. It's my understanding that cohort is rising sophomores through recent graduates.
Okay. So maybe not for you.
I think it is cool for that.
I'll double check and I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I think
you're right, but it is cool to see what organizations are involved. A lot of, if it's not for Summer of the Cuyahoga for grad students, since I think that's true that I don't think it would be applicable unless you're like a recent grad. But I think still some of those, because when I was a grad student, I actually applied and didn't know that, but the organizations, I still connected with some of them afterwards and got a summer opportunity, still just not with Summer in the Cuyahoga directly, but indirectly it helped me. So it could be just nice to hear about the organizations that are involved too.
I think that that's a great tip. And you can, if you visit the Summer on the Cuyahoga website, there's a registration link for students. You can log in and see the opportunities that are being offered. You can see what organizations are offering those opportunities. So I do think that that is a way to kind of scope out maybe some that you hadn't heard of. You'll also see Summer on the Cuyahoga internships posted in Handshake. So that can also show you what some organizations are out there looking for.
That is great. I'm sure I could find, but I'm not sure if I put the right link, but I also put another job board area, Engage Cleveland. It's a very good job board for, if you're looking for opportunities in nonprofit in Cleveland too. They post part-time opportunities in their job board too. So if you want to look through that as well, that is not on our public service website yet, but additional resource.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate it and all the insights and for everyone attending. And I know we're past 6:30 a little bit, and you can, as mentioned, can continue to connect with all of us. I'm going to pass it over to Dean McFarland for any other last closing remarks.
Thanks, Kelly. Boy, there's been so much to digest tonight. This has been wonderful and lots of good tips, strategies, resources. For everybody attending and or watching the recording, please know that our team will curate this list of resources. We'll share out the recording so that you can benefit from this moving forward. And please keep an eye out for additional job postings in our upcoming student newsletters, as well as newsletters from the Career Center. I also want to put a plug for job opportunities on CASE's campus in the summer. There's so much available to you. So keep your eyes open, continue to network, and lean into our Career Center and Student Services team for support along the way. We thank everybody again for joining us and for the wonderful presentation. We'll give a virtual clap for a great presentation with all these wonderful resources. And again, reach out to Mandel Student Services at case.edu with any questions, needs, or just to connect with our team on your career path. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy a wonderful evening.
Thank you for the invite as always. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.